Hey everyone, this Retro DM Ray. I'm back with you again. We are going to talk about some more Forbidden Lands today. So let me get this stuff out of the way. Please give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so you are alerted every time I upload new videos. Thank you for all the new recent subscribers. We are close to 490. We are oh so close to my first goal, which is 500. I appreciate all of you out there, all of your comments and suggestions and those types of things. Keep those coming. I really appreciate that. So thanks again, and let's get right to our looking at Forbidden Lands again together. And today we're going to start by talking about professions. If you were to have an analog in first edition, second edition, old school Dungeons and Dragons, it would be character classes. Just like kin are race are analogous to races in first and second edition AD&D. So your professions. Here's what it says. The next step to select is to select a profession for your character. All the player characters are adventurers, but you have learned a thing or two before the game begins. Your choice of profession will determine much about your character. Your profession will influence your attributes, your skills, your starting gear, and what special talents you can learn. There are 8 professions to choose from, all described on the following pages here in the Player's Handbook. Each kin description lists typical professions for that kin, but you're free to choose any profession that you like. Okay, so you've been seeing the picture, but this is the first one. It's probably my favorite just because of the title, which is Druid. My second favorite would be one we'll see later on. So you see this really cool picture here of this female druid. A human is what it looks like to me. Could possibly be a half-elf. But that's a really cool picture. I really like that sword. And of course you see that that animal that's hanging out with her there, some sort of a weasel, or maybe a marmot or something like that. So the druid says, ever since the god Clay shaped the world, you and the brothers and sisters of your order have been tasked with safeguarding nature. You maintain the balance of the world. Your hand can be gentle or cruel, depending on what the situation requires, but you always act with respect and exercise judgment. You hold the forces of nature in your hands. The earth, the weather, the plants, and the animals all listen to your voice. You are a druid. Each one of the professions has a key attribute. So this one is wits. Skills are endurance, survival, insight, healing, and animal handling. You have 3 sources of things that come with your profession, which are pride, a dark secret, relationships, and gear. All right, so one of the first things I've noticed as we've been playing Forbidden Lands in the short time that we have, the druid here sounds very much exactly like the druid in first and second edition AD&D, but there's one caveat. Well, there's actually 2. The first one is your starting gear is only a staff or a knife. That's analogous to the first and second edition AD&D Druid, but the one seen here in the picture actually has a sword, and there's nothing to prevent you actually from having that. So there are no, like, quote-unquote restrictions as to what you can or cannot use in the game based on class, or in this case, profession. So that's different. Also, there are no clerics, priests, quote-unquote, in Forbidden Lands as such. They are, as far as PC professions are concerned, they are druids. Okay? There might be other supplements that you can find on DriveThruRPG, which if you want to go there, you can use my affiliate link in the description and do that. I'd appreciate that. But you might find some other stuff on there where that's more delineated, created by someone, because Free League has a like an open source document or a OGL, if you will, in terms of their Free League workshop to be able to create things for Free League products on your own and publish them. So there might be a profession on there that is quote unquote cleric or priest. Now there are functioning religious orders, sects, cults, whatever you want to call them, in the Forbidden Lands, in the Ravenlands area, and in other places throughout the course of your journeys. But they are not a profession for a player character. So the druids fulfill that role as both a guardian of nature as well as the party healer, and one who understands what is not natural, which would be a little bit about demons and certainly a little bit about undead. The other profession that we'll get to in a little while will have a little bit more sage information about those other entities as well. So in here, the pride is the first thing, and pride is pretty self-explanatory. It's something that you take pride in for your character, but pride actually has an active part in the game. When we move on to start talking about the functionality of the mechanics of the system, I'll explain in more detail what pride means and how you utilize that, what dark secret means and how that impacts you, how relationships can affect you in your travels, in your adventuring through the Ravenlands, because that's one of the other parts. And then your gear and how mechanically that functions in the world too, which is really cool. I'll explain the mechanics of that when we get to that point. But we're gonna read for you the Druid's Pride, the 3 possible points of pride for you, and you can choose any of these or create your own for any of these professions. So Druid says, you are nobler than other people, and the gods love you more. You sense unnatural phenomena before anyone else, or demons instinctively fear you. So those are 3 possible pride sources for you, or sources of your pride, or ways in which your pride is stated, and you can also create your own. Then dark secret. Again, use one of the 3 listed here or create your own. You enjoy wallowing in the mud and to live off of what others would never eat. As everyone and everything are part of Clay's creation, you lack respect for others' property. Or you are a moralizing know-it-all who thinks you always know the will of the gods. So I think that's a really cool, that particularly the last dark secret is really kind of cool for the idea of perhaps a more of a paladin style of holy warrior, holy cleric kind of a thing. That you are a moralizing know-it-all who thinks you always know the will of the gods. I just think that's really cool too. But those are the 3 possible dark secret choices, and then relationships would be your last one. Again, choose any one of these 3 or create your own. Doesn't understand your role in the world. You shall guide, but not teach. Is drawn to dark arts and must be kept under close watch. If needed, it's your duty to stop her. Is a slender oak that could grow into something great, given the right care. So that's your how you deal with or how you go about being in relationships with others. Okay. All right. So then next up, you see here another cool picture. You have this fighter, and she's got a really cool looking axe there in her hand. And I like the way that line art there is drawn by Brandt, is who's done that. If I go back to the beginning here, I think I can give you the specific name of that person. Yeah, Nicholas Brandt or Brand. Really cool picture here. It says, you have followed the way of the sword as long as you can remember. Wiped the blood of countless enemies from your blade. Felt many wounds heal into ugly scars on your body. You fear battle, yet you yearn for it. The battle is your life. Your task is to protect your weaker friends from all enemies. And you take that task very seriously. But the truth is, you live for the thrill of the battle itself. When the fight is over, you clean your blade and get ready for the next fray. You are a fighter. So key attribute here is strength. Skills are might, endurance, melee, crafting, and move. You have your 3 sources of pride. You never back away from a fight, or you can endure any injury or you never betray your friends. Dark secret choices. You sometimes take to the bottle to chase away the memories of all those you have killed. Secretly, you enjoy inflicting pain and injury on others. Or once, you killed a Rust brother, and you are now wanted by them. And that last one's a really cool motivational goal for story purposes, because the Rust brothers are a big deal in Ravenland. Relationships. Is the weak link of the group. Can you teach her? Has saved your life several times. How will you repay her? Is creepy. She must be up to no good. Now remember, this is either ways in which people think of you in a relationship or the ways you think of another person in a relationship, okay? So that's how that goes back and forth there. All right, so that's the fighter. All right, here we have this cool picture. Again, fairly plain looking bow, but just the idea of how she's getting ready to use it, I think is a cool drawing here, definitely. Good line art again as well for this illustration. The hunter says, which is the name of this profession, hunter, the wildlands are your home. In the forests and the mountains, on the open plains and by the windy rivers, that's where you find inner peace. People say that the wilds are dangerous, that they are evil. Granted, you have seen the monsters that roam the lands, but you know how to move unseen and unheard, and to kill effectively if you need to. And when you bring home your prey to the camp, and it's time to eat, no one is complaining. You are a hunter. Your key attribute is agility. Your skills are stealth, move, marksmanship, scouting, and survival. 3 sources of pride. You can survive alone in the wilds for weeks. Or your arrow always hits its mark. Or the animals of the forests are your friends and do you no harm. Dark secret. You feel uncomfortable among other people and prefer to be alone. The old wound from the claw of a demonic beast, never fully healed. Once you left a wounded friend to die in the woods to save yourself. Relationships. Always makes a lot of noise. Stay away from her. Is always hungry and eats all the food you catch. Has no respect for nature and its creatures. So again, pretty cool profession there. Next, here you have this cool picture of this guy as a minstrel. If you were to picture an elven bard, kind of almost an elven foppish bard, I would definitely picture this person here as a possible great choice. I love the lute there in the picture. Really, really cool design. Very intricate line art. Look at all that scroll work there on the lower section there of that lute. Just really, really neat. Really took a lot of time with that image. It says, but for the minstrel, it says, the road is long. When the wind is fierce or the night is black, everyone needs a light in the darkness. A reminder of past deeds or treasures waiting to be found. Whether through song, poetry, or prose, it's your job to spread a little hope and joy by the campfire. You have the ability to chase away despair and inject courage and hope into the hearts of your friends. And if you should all one day meet your final fate, your chronicles will let the world know of your adventures. You are a minstrel. Key attribute is empathy. Skills are lore, insight, manipulation, performance, and healing. Points of pride. Your songs can be warmth to the coldest of hearts. You remember all the tales and legends of the Forbidden Lands. Your friends trust you with their lives. So that second one would be difficult to deal with, since it says you remember all. I like that, though. Dark secret. You are haunted by doubt and don't believe in the songs you sing. You are secretly deeply in love with an NPC or another PC. You once served the Rust brothers as their jester, but managed to escape. For relationships, is the hero of your chronicle, but does not realize it. Does not understand what's good for her and needs your guidance. Is doomed, and it's only a matter of time. Now I'm going to go back and correct something for a second. I won't go back to the pictures, but I will go back to this. So in 1st and 2nd edition AD&D, fighter here is analogous to fighter there. And hunter here, I would say is mostly analogous to ranger. Although I must say, ranger in Forbidden Lands is kind of split into 2 different professions. So you've seen the hunter here, which makes perfect sense, an Aragorn style of character. Minstrel here, and very analogous to Bard, very specifically, especially first edition Bards that had Druid spells, so they were able to do healing as well. And I think that works similar in 5th edition, although I don't play it anymore. Don't really care for it anymore, but you know what I mean. I think that's the case. And so I just wanted to go back and make that comparison because I'd forgotten to do that as we traveled through. And part of my reason for going through Forbidden Lands in the way I am is because I feel like it has such a strong old school connection, old school style feel, that I want to make those connections or make those comparisons to the best of my ability with that old system. So I hope you're enjoying that. This next picture here is an interesting picture. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just simply a unique approach to what is considered a version of 1st and 2nd edition Thief. Sort of, but not exactly. You'll kind of see that as we go through it. This is the Peddler. Bargaining, buying for little and selling for more, turning 2 silvers into 3 has always been your way to survive. While the blood mist lay thick across the lands, trade between the villages was limited and very local. Now the mist has lifted, and the forbidden lands and its treasures are yours for the taking or buying, then selling to the highest bidder. You are a peddler. Key attribute, empathy. Skills, crafting, sleight of hand, scouting, insight, and manipulation. 3 sources of pride. You have honest eyes. You can make anyone trust you. When you catch the scent of gold, nothing can stop your pursuit of it. Dark secret. You owe silver to a powerful individual, a lot of silver. You conned a Rust brother, and now they are bent on revenge. You don't trust anyone, and think they all want to take your silver. Relationships. Owes you silver, but doesn't seem to want to repay it. Saved your life once. What does she want in return? Is your ticket to fame and riches? Stay close. So the reason why I say it's mostly analogous to the 1st and 2nd edition AD&D Thief, it would depend on how you played that. I tended to play bards from those older editions in a lot of the way that the Peddler is described here. So I feel like it's kind of a cross. If you were to compare it to the old school, it's like a cross between Minstrel and Peddler is kind of that's the old bard. But you could definitely see the Peddler as just a rogue, having sleight of hand and insight manipulation kind of skills, and having that catching the scent of gold and that conning people, owing a debt that you got to repay. That's Han Solo, right? Those types of things. Always worried about what someone else wants, and how you can sell it to them for the highest price. So you could kind of take it as that, I think. But there is actually a quote-unquote thief class or profession in this book, and we'll get to it here in just a second. All right, so the next one here is Rider. Again, a really cool picture, especially of a moving mount firing from moving mounted. I just think that's really cool line art here again. And this profession is called the Rider. The legends say that the animals in ancient time mocked the humans for having only 2 legs. For that reason, your ancestors allied themselves with the horses on the Great Plains. Now you have 6 legs together, and hands to wield spear and bow. You ride faster than anyone you strike, and you're gone before the enemy has realized what happened. You love the open plains. As the fiery blood of Asleen runs through your veins, you are a rider. Key attribute, agility, skills, endurance, melee marksmanship, survival, and animal handling. Pride. Asleenians are nobler than other people. On your horse, you're faster than the wind. Horse or no horse, you never lose your balance. Dark secret. You enjoy setting things on fire, ostensibly in the name of the god Horn, but you like it, too. Your horse is more important to you than any human. Others cannot understand your bond. For you panic in closed and cramped chambers. Relationships. Has the soul of a slave and needs to be set free. Is a loyal friend for whom you could give your life if it came to that. Shows no respect and needs to be taught a lesson sooner or later. All right, so I think this is also another version of Ranger, quote unquote. But if you remember Mystara from the old advanced D&D campaign setting, this would be more like the Etrigan clans. Maybe barbarians of the Plains of Panem in Greyhawk. Might be something similar, a Mongolian outrider, Native American rider, those types of pictures that you could take from old school or even old literature and older history, of course, into modern day as well. And so this is kind of another version of that Ranger character. But again, a riding horse is a big deal for you. So that would play an integral part in the Hexcrawl adventures around Ravenlands for you while you're traveling. And then you have this last one here. I won't say this image is horrible, but I would say it's not nearly as good as the rest of them for sure. Again, it does have the old school appearance. Some of the really, really old stuff, and some of the really old modules, those types of things. So it does have a little bit of that feeling, but the artwork is definitely not as stepped up as Nisi's or Brant's or Neil's Gullickson and the other places. But this is a rogue. No one will ever give you what you wish for. To get what you want, you'll have to take it for yourself. This is a lesson that you learned at a young age, and already as a child, you became very skilled at liberating others from belongings that you needed more. Before, people used to spit at you and kick you. Now, as an adventurer with the Forbidden Lands at your feet, your expertise in the arts of moving silently in the shadows has become highly sought after. You are a rogue. Key attribute, agility. Skills, melee, stealth, sleight of hand, move, and manipulation. 3 points of pride. No one has a softer step than you. You only steal from those who deserve it. No one can catch you. Dark secret. You compulsively steal valuables you catch sight of. Once you stole something valuable from a Rust brother, and now they seek revenge. Your purse is often empty, for you spend silver as swiftly as you obtain it. Relationships. Despises you and what you do, and thinks she's better than you. Treats you like a child to be chastised. Very annoying. Always grabs the best treasures for herself. Maybe it's time to teach her a lesson. So this would be the backstabbing, hiding shadows, moving silent type of thief from 1st and 2nd edition. And perhaps the Robin Hood-esque, because of that 2nd point of pride that you only steal from those who deserve it. Quote unquote, like as if you're the authority to decide who deserves it or not. I think that's cool. And then the dark secret, you compulsively steal valuables you catch sight of. That's a little bit Dragonlance Tasselhoff Burfoot, which I also like that idea as well. So there's a lot of possibilities with the rogue here too. Again, 2 different versions of Ranger that we saw, and 2 different versions of Thief that we've seen. There's also 2 different versions of Spellcaster. The first one was the Druid that we saw already, and now you have this last one here, this last one in the player's handbook. There are other sources you can probably find other professions in. We're just covering the player's handbook. This is Sorcerer. Again, a cool picture. Kind of a grumpy looking Saruman, if you wanted to use a Lord of the Rings reference for this picture here. Or maybe a really, really grumpy and out of sorts Gandalf, but it looks more Saruman-ish to me. It says, let them stare at you in fear and disgust. Let them shy away from you, afraid that your dark arts will infect them. They fear you, but they need you. Who else can force nature itself to bend to their will? Who else can make fire roar, water freeze, and the earth shake? You, and only you, have seen what is beyond the veils of the world and stared into the inner core of existence. This insight is your burden to bear, so that others don't have to. You are a sorcerer. Key attribute here is wits. Skills are crafting, sleight of hand, lore, insight, and manipulation. Sources of pride. Nothing scares you, as you have seen the world behind the veil. Whoever threatens you will die a painful death. You have read many books, and you know the ways of the world. Dark secret. You're haunted by visions of the world behind the veil. Your yearning for magical power is stronger than anything else. Zygofer the Spellbinder haunts you in your dreams and makes you obey him. Relationships. Looks at you sideways and seems afraid of you. Doesn't realize her own inner strength. Can you bring it forth? Doubts your magical powers. The Fool. I really like that one. And notice the point of pride there about nothing scares you because you've seen the world behind the veil connects directly with the dark secret, which is you're haunted by visions of that world behind the veil. So those are some good connections there too. I think point of pride number 2, whoever threatens you will die a painful death, and it's dark secret number 2, your yearning for more magical power is stronger than anything else. I think that's Raceland Magier from Dragonlance. So there's some first / second edition advanced D&D connection there for you as well. And then you've read many books and you know the ways of the world. That's Gandalf for sure. And then Zygofer the Spellbinder haunts you in your dreams and makes you obey him. Zygofer the Spellbinder is a very historical figure in the Ravenlands. Plays a part in the setting without question. That's really cool. And when we get to where I'm going to do some more history video stuff, then you'll hear more about that. All right. So those are the professions in just the Forbidden Lands Player's Handbook. I hope you are enjoying the way I'm reading through and covering these and kind of doing these comparisons. If you have any comments or thoughts about my comparisons, or maybe you've heard something in one of these professions that harkens back for you to perhaps a different AD&D character class connection that you can think of, please post that. I'm not straying into connections to class kits from the second edition complete handbooks or complete splat books, however you want to call those. So I'm just sticking with the player's handbooks for the 2 editions as far as my comparisons are concerned. But you are welcome to go there and have that discussion. I'd love to see that. Anything else that you're liking about these videos, I'd appreciate a comment. Again, a like and a subscribe and a share. That would be fantastic. I really appreciate that. And check out the links, like I said, my affiliate link for DRUID, my Ko-fi to donate to the channel. Again, all the donations are used just to funnel right back into the channel because I'm still looking for being able to build up enough funds to get a good mic to use for the videos and those types of things, as well as any other products that I will be using for the channel. So I would just appreciate any help that you could provide. That'd be super cool. But thanks again to everybody who has subbed and is following and listening along. I appreciate that. I think until next time, like I always say, prosper and good gaming. Take care. Later.